Gods and goddesses in training, welcome back to the channel. It's Uncle Makara. Today we're talking about, is spirituality your comfort zone or your way of life? Okay, I think this is a very important topic because what I've noticed is there's two kinds of spiritual people that I notice. One is a student of spirituality who looks at it as an academic pursuit as well as a creative one, and they are willing to do the shadow work and face the harsh realities and truths of this world. They understand that there's an evolution of consciousness, of growth, that this life is almost like a school of some sort where you graduate consciously. And then there's another type of spiritual person that just came upon spirituality, is kind of dabbling with it, and unwilling to face the reality and truths, using spirituality as comfort, using spirituality as an escape, using spirituality as a way to bypass their problems, okay? These types of light workers don't make it very far because they're unwilling to love all parts of themselves. They're only picking and choosing their favorite parts and not willing to explore the whole range of their character. And I really think that this is one of the main differences, guys. If we are going into the future right now with spirituality, we've got to understand it's more about that authenticity 2.0. And I've been saying it on this channel for many years, is that the evolution of spirituality is an understanding of ourselves as a culture. Think about this. Back in the days, there wouldn't be many contact with aliens and starseeds and all these things. Now we come into the 2000s and we start seeing more of that. Why? Because our brains have expanded, evolved, and our consciousness has expanded. Okay, so that means we have newer imaginations, better insights, maybe movies or different things that we're seeing in regards to our imagination is expanding greater and greater. And so of course we're having more contact with these beings or entities, or, you know, peering over the edge of the spiritual world, kind of seeing through that veil of Maya, right? So how do you go from making spirituality your comfort zone into a way of life? You got to understand that first and foremost, you are a spiritual being first, okay? And then a human. So as you're living, you understand, don't focus so much on spirituality. Focus on having fun and enjoying your life and feeling happy in your life. That way you're gonna understand that sometimes I have to be comfortable with the uncomfortable on this journey. And you might have heard it from some guy telling you to do more push-ups, but you haven't really heard it that you need to do more spiritual reps, right? You haven't heard somebody say, hey, try meditating for longer, or, you know, experiment with a newer breath work, or try to do this in a tweaked way where you actually embody the mantra and the mantra becomes your deity, right? You haven't heard of maybe varied spiritual concepts that you can readily integrate into your waking life and day-to-day, right? This is what this channel is about. This is what I'm here to help you with, is take this ancient wisdom and knowledge, but also procure it and wield it as a weapon so that we can slice through with the sort of discernment and not get so wrapped up in other people's, you know, storylines. I think it's very, very important to have a vision. And if you think of a very fluffy concept of a vision to begin with, because I think that a lot of people, they want to have it very crystal clear, but this is an aesthetic quality. It's almost like embodying beauty. You know what I mean? It's very poetic in a sense. So you have to have a vision as a spiritual person that is aesthetic, that you look forward to, that's something that's bringing you on your path, on your journey, and you're healing the world in a very specific way, understanding your inner architecture and being able to create a system for yourself where you're releasing and letting go, but also you are learning and implementing. Very simple tweaks can be very, very effective. For instance, once you know what your core wound is, we give you a quiz. Once you fill that out, you know what your core wound is, and then you can do a specific yoga asana that would be the opposite of your core wound and what your body naturally holds itself as. You see what I'm saying? So as you put on that posture, you're going to heal, and you're almost re-triggering that wound in order for your nervous system to feel safe enough in order to let it go and release. So I've always seen spirituality as a tool to help me develop myself and develop myself to its greatest potential. And it's not so much about building and adding on more of a personality. It's more of a unlearning process of all the gunk that has been stored and hasn't been actually serving me, you know? Maybe it's a movie I watched in the 3rd grade that still has an impact on me in my waking life today. It's not actually getting me the results that I want because I have this weird stored belief around something or some concept that is lodged or embedded in my brain, you see? So it's also about exploring yourself, having the self-awareness to go beyond what the normative culture of the spiritual community is telling you. It's about going down different rabbit holes at times, not into like weird conspiracy theory traps. That can happen a lot too on the spiritual journey. You go and you just start endlessly scrolling down this, you know, dark rabbit hole of spirituality. You get caught in the information stream rather than actually, you know, integrating that information and focusing on the right things, the positive things that are directional towards your growth. Discover your chakra types, discover the ways that you can notice the symptoms as different ailments and reconfigure them, figure out a way that you can speak to your body and your mind. You know, listening to subliminals, listening to things that affect your subconscious mind. We had a great podcast last night on IMC TV, go check that out. And also understanding that now that we're moving into AI, we're moving into virtual reality, we're moving into augmented reality, we are going to have this battle of authenticity, right? Like, what is authenticity in regards to channeling? You know what I mean? Is it all delusion, or is it something that is actually beneficial? Through my own experience, I found that when I connect to my higher self, which helps me connect to these different beings or deities that I work with, it is my own translation as a channeler that helps me to tap into these particular energies, beings, frequencies, right? That's how I think about it, is I'm almost adopting, like a style of method acting. I'm adopting that character, I'm embodying that character, and I'm slowly speaking with them having the mouthpiece control, okay? And I'm just the translator. I'm in the background holding space so that this can be made possible, okay? Now, in the beginning, I was terrified of this. I thought I was going insane. I thought, you know, these were demons controlling me, whatever. I had all the skepticism beforehand that I started this journey, okay? However, I learned how to trust myself, and I learned how to co-create with the universe and have that Brahman or the Tao or the source or God's grace be the substrate for me, that I can actually conduct these certain experiments. You see, we better know what our enemies are doing behind the scenes, okay? And what I mean by that is, as light workers, you have people who are, you know, promoting evil in this world. And imagine if we had the same skill set or even greater than those people. What good can come into this world? What amazing things can inspire and help others to expand? You see what I'm saying? So this is how I really want you to adopt and try to think about this thing very differently. You know, it's not this religious context. You were born into a Catholic family, so you have to believe in Christ. It's the fact that you have a personal relationship with Christ, you see? It's not the fact that you grew up in Thailand and you're always Buddhist and your family kind of forced you into it. It's the fact that you have a personal relationship with the Buddha, and you understand that by going for refuge, by meditating. I'm actually going on a meditation retreat from today, from this evening, and it's going to last for 3 days, well, 4 days technically, including this one, right? And so I'm constantly challenging myself like this. This is my father's retreat. He teaches this Vajrayana Buddhism. He teaches the philosophy, and he teaches you how to meditate and do deity yoga and things like this. So had I not known that or delved into this realm, I wouldn't have been able to have so many blessings or contact from the different blessings of these different yakshas, different beings, different dakinis, different, you know, tantric deities and so forth. Padmasambhava's energy back there, okay? I wouldn't have had those gifts and those lessons coming up through these specific things. Mathis said something interesting yesterday. He's saying that the universe speaks in lessons of blessings, right? Lessons and blessings. And I think that's really powerful, because ultimately we are given these blessings in disguise, right? We are given these little nudges from the universe where we feel like, why are you giving me more friction? Or are you giving me more resistance? No. They're trying to move you in the direction, the path of least resistance, where you're actually naturally meant to glide in this world and be effortless. That's your way, that's your flow code, okay? I've discovered that peak performance and spirituality are actually best friends, and they're not these separate entities going two different routes, right? Once you understand that, it can make your life better. And I'm not looking at peak performance like this weird hierarchical thing that I'm better than this person, or I'm not even playing the same league as other coaches or practitioners or spiritual gurus, whatever you want to call me, right? I'm not playing at that level. I'm comparing myself to, like, I don't know, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something like that. You get what I mean? Like, my imagination is taking me to realms that is unfathomable for the ordinary human being, you know? The general normie going to the corner store, you know, just to buy a pack of smokes, come back and just kind of, you know, spend their time day drinking, that niche will not ultimately recognize and realize the power of these teachings yet, until they've tapped into a level of discipline and getting themselves out of that comfort haze by actually practicing some of this stuff. Sometimes you do a mantra for like a whole month and it doesn't hit, but then suddenly you notice a synchronicity that's very difficult to ignore after a while. It sort of drops on your lap, right? Like a kapow. And you're like, whoa, I did not expect this, right? But you're creating basically a good relationship with your subconscious mind. You're making sure that it's your best friend, not your enemy. A lot of people treat this thing like, I'm gonna command my subconscious mind, go do this, go do that. It's like, yo, if you treated your best friend like that and you just commanded him around to do things, that's not a very genuine friendship, is it? It's like, you have to have some courtesy, some respect, some level of dignity with your higher self, you know, and treat it like you're a comrade, you're a peer. He's not always above here and you're putting your higher self on a pedestal like he's always coming down from the clouds or something like this. Though that helps, the visualization helps, I'm just saying it's way better to imagine that your higher self is here with you, like a buddy, like a friend, guiding you, nudging you in the most aligned and powerful direction. So be the walking embodiment of an ideal that transcends you, that stretches the dimensions of your mind and spirit, that make you understand that, wait a minute, maybe my spiritual theme controls my spirit team, okay? And once you really get that, this frees you up in this process, because it's so exciting to walk and live and be a living embodiment of a deity's particular elegance or essence, you know, and you have that emanation and glow on your own auric field, and you carry that with you throughout the day to do things very differently or perceive bliss differently, go through different challenges and overcoming them, leading it back towards you again, right? Think about this game like snakes and ladders, right? Every time you go up the ladder, there's a snake that comes up, new levels, new devils, right? And so when you're on this ascension process, you'll notice that whenever you try to rise up, something will test you to keep you back down in a lower state of consciousness. It's like the universe really wants to see, are you there or are you not? Are you just pretending? Are you gold or are you gold plated? And if you follow through on your mission, you know your purpose, you know your drive, what it's moving you towards, you're gonna have that crystal clear vision guide you towards your greatest spiritual insights. So have that image and hold that image in your mind. It could be the slightly exaggerated one too, like you're on another planet, you know, surrounded by your loved ones. I don't know. It could be very expansive and grand. But if you hold that image and you integrate actions to bring it closer towards that image, shoot for the moon, you land amongst the stars, right? So even if you aim very, very big and think very, very big, you're going to take it somewhere greater or great enough to a specific high level or standard. So keep going. Keep pushing ahead. Look at yourself like a spiritual Olympian in this thing, like a spiritual athlete in this thing. You're doing it with discipline. You're pushing through. You're understanding that there's these blessings, these siddhis waiting for you on the other side of the shadow. If you integrate it properly, you're going to get the powers that you need to activate and actualize and upgrade this consciousness, okay? Right now we're in retrograde season, and what we're seeing is a lot more doppelgangers of people, right? Cloning will be a thing in the future as well. So we got to start to understand, how do we protect our originality? How do we protect our creativity? Because what differentiates us from animals is our art, our creativity, our sense of poetry and beauty. We can't lose that aspect of ourselves to AI, you know? We've got to really be the ones that contain this container and be the greatest walking flow state catalyst that we can be. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. We're all gonna make it. See you soon.